Hi, my name is Lauren, and I live with schizoaffective disorder, and I've been making videos detailing a little bit more about what schizophrenia and schizoaffective disorder entail. In my video about what schizophrenia is, I talked a little bit about positive and negative symptoms. So in this video, I'm going to talk more about what exactly these positive and negative symptoms are. So first, I'm going to go over some of the positive symptoms. So the first positive symptom that I want to go over is hallucinations. And hallucinations are basically when an individual perceives something that others do not. So these can include auditory, visual, olfactory, so sense of smell, taste, and touch. So some examples for me are when I first was experiencing my first symptoms, I had olfactory hallucinations where I would smell these really awful smells that I couldn't identify what they were, and I couldn't locate where they were coming from, but I just smelled these really bad smells. Another example that occurs more frequently for me are voices. So I hear, while I'm on medication, it's mostly just chatter about what's going on around me or about people around me, but it doesn't happen all the time. So sometimes hallucinations can be more intense. So for me, especially when I'm off medications, I can sometimes get command hallucinations. And these can vary from anything like go pick up that rock over there to commands encouraging more along the lines of self-harm. So there's a lot of variation in the types of hallucinations that an individual can experience. The second positive symptom is delusions, and these are beliefs or convictions that are not true, and they can include persecutory, religious, or grandiose thoughts or delusions. So an example for me would be around more of the persecutory delusion, where I would see and hear helicopters circling overhead that I thought were looking for me or out to get me, and I would be really conscious of any police around me because I thought that they were looking for me as well at times and coming to take me back to the hospital or something along those lines. The third positive symptom is paranoid thinking. So this is when some sort of threat is perceived. So an example of this for me would be, like I talked about in another video, is checking mirrors for cameras. So I had some delusions or paranoid thinking around cameras being in mirrors or around people watching me. Another one is thinking that people can hear my own thoughts, which is called thought broadcasting. Racing thoughts are another common positive symptom experienced by people living with schizophrenia. So for me, this looks like just a lot of thoughts racing through my head at one time, and it's kind of hard to focus on one and to hold a steady train of thought sometimes. So again, positive symptoms include the addition of a new behavior as a result of schizophrenia that the individual did not have before. So they include hallucinations, delusions, paranoid thinking, and racing thoughts. So next I'm going to talk a little bit more about the negative symptoms. So again, this doesn't mean bad symptoms, but instead this means symptoms that have been taken away as a result of schizophrenia. So some negative symptoms of schizophrenia include low motivation, as well as emotional flatness. So this can include restricted affect, which is diagnosed based on observations about a person, and lowered emotional range, which is basically when an individual has less ability to feel emotions. Another negative symptom is decreased speech, which is sometimes referred to as poverty of speech. So this is when there is little, if any, spontaneous speech, and the individual mainly responds in monosyllabic responses such as yes or no. There can sometimes also be long pauses or gaps between words or sentences when an individual is having poverty of speech. Another symptom is loss of interest in life, which is also referred to as apathy. So this is basically when an individual appears indifferent and lacks the interest to engage in even basic activities such as personal hygiene. So this happens for me sometimes when it's really hard to even just get out of bed, get ready, have a shower. Those things can be made more difficult when you're experiencing negative symptoms. Another symptom is social withdrawal. So when an individual stops engaging with other people in their life or with parts of their life in general. And then the last negative symptom that I want to go over is a decreased sense of purpose. So this is when an individual has a difficult time understanding the meaning or the value behind engaging in different activities and just generally has a decreased sense of purpose. It's important to note that these negative symptoms look a lot like depression. So this is why schizophrenia is often misdiagnosed as depression for prolonged periods of time. So in my video about my story, I talked a bit about how I was initially diagnosed with depression and how I went for several years thinking that I was struggling with depression when it was actually schizoaffective disorder. And lastly, another concept that I just want to hit on because it kind of goes hand in hand with the negative symptoms is the concept of anosognosia, which is basically just means a lack of insight. So when an individual doesn't even know that they are ill. So sometimes during psychotic episodes, I can have periods of anosognosia where I don't think that I have schizoaffective disorder. So just to summarize, positive symptoms include new or added behaviors to an individual as a result of schizophrenia, and negative symptoms include the removal of or taking away behaviors as a result of having schizophrenia. So thank you so much for watching. I hope this video helps you to better understand some of the positive and negative symptoms. If you want to see more videos like this, make sure to subscribe, and thanks again and have a great day. Bye.